Hey guys, welcome back to On the Level. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that's been the huge topic all across social media and bass fishing. It's forward-facing sonar. What exactly is it? How does it affect fishing? How is it? Why is it making the fishing world go up in a storm? It's kind of like divided it down like politics. You got the guys that want to scope and the guys that don't want to scope. If you don't really know what forward-facing sonar is, it's basically like this, in a nutshell, for dummies. Trolling motor's down in the water, and you have a transducer that shoots forward, almost like if you had a flashlight in your hand, you were shining it across the field for deer. You're not really spotlighting, but you kind of are spotlighting fish. You know, it's bad terminology. Don't go spotlight deer, that's illegal. And then once you hit that fish with the beam of that sonar, then you throw at him and you try to get him to bite. Typically, it's with a spinning rod and some little minnow bait, or that's the idea that everybody has of it. Now, what I've seen with forward-facing sonar is it can make good, great fishermen very dangerous, which is kind of a positive if you're one of those guys. It's a negative if you're fishing against one of those guys. Now, on the other hand, I've also seen probably maybe not the strongest competitors become players if forward-facing is what's going to dominate that tournament. And apparently now, throughout the days, forward-facing is becoming a major player about everywhere we go across the country. Probably going to be a major player everywhere we go except straight for the spawn. And probably, if you hit it right, you're going to see some guys actually catching bedding fish off of forward-facing. So now, in my opinion, is this good or bad for bass fishing? One thing it's done, and this is my opinion, so you can get mad at me if you want. One thing I think it's done, especially for the local weekend anglers just wanting to go out and have a good time, catch a lot of fish, it's helped increase their catches, especially with panfish and things like that. But it's also giving us as pro anglers and the novice an opportunity to see how fish actually react to your bait and where they actually live. That's the most surprising part, is where you can find some of these fish to catch. A downfall to that, especially like in the fall when we're up north smallmouth fishing and you see these guys out fishing 60, 70, 80, 90 foot of water, catching these smallmouth 20 foot down, 30 foot down, chasing bait. Those fish have always been there. That resource has never been tapped before. It's almost like really those fish are out there to rest that we're probably not supposed to be catching them. But the advancement in technology has given us that opportunity to catch those fish that are out there, especially smallmouth, and they're gorging on gobies or they're gorging on shad and they're bigger. And everybody's like, man, the lake's just come back to life. Champlain is one particular place. It's always been awesome. But now, nothing can hide. We can find it all. We can look at it all. We can cover it all. We can catch it all. So what does that mean for tournament fishing? I run Garmin Electronics. I can say that LiveScope helped me with the classic wins. I didn't necessarily see all the fish when I caught them, but it lets me see the structure out in front, the grass lines, the riprap, the drop, any bait, any direction I need to be casting. All those things come into play. I'm not a 100% put the trolling motor down and go out looking for them live scoping. To me, I just can't do it. That's not bass fishing to me. That's not the way I was taught or what everybody said. That's not old school bass fishing. Well, today's youth that's coming into the game spend a lot of time playing video games on computers and PlayStation and Xbox and all that. Back when I was a youngin', it was Atari. And the advancement in the technology has come so far that with the fishing stuff and those guys playing on those computers, it has cut their learning curve in half. So now you've got a guy, and you hear it say all the time jokingly when we're out on tour, you got a guy that's going out there ripping them up off live scope, but he can't skip a dock. He can't flip a mat. He can't do the basic things, or what we considered basic in the beginning. So is it good or bad for bass fishing? I guess time will tell, especially on creel limits and size and tournament weights, this, that, and the other. Now, as far as my business and what we do at the highest level, I do think there should be limitations on the forward facing according to our boats. There's limitations now on the driver with the PGA, with golf, because they're hitting it too far. NASCAR's got limitations on the cars. Major leagues, they don't play with aluminum bats or BB core bats, they hit woods. There's limitations on all professional sports. And in my opinion, I honestly believe you should be allowed one on your trolling motor. I think once you go putting them on the back and the side and the front, it's really just going overboard. And I think it sets a terrible example for today's youth and today's parents who have kids that want to fish. They think they have to have all this stuff to be successful fishing. And it's just not the case. Like I said, I work for Garmin. I think they have by far the best forward facing on the market. Not to say the other brands are terrible, but when you're talking about the best, by far, Garmin LiveScope is the best on the market. And if for some reason I was just, boom, gone from Garmin, the next day they didn't want me working for them, they didn't want me representing them, I would still run their product just because it's easy to use. It's by far the clearest, the best, can see it the furthest, and I just like it and I'm used to it. You may have a different opinion of that, and that's okay. That's what makes it all great, because you're allowed to have that. The problem where we get into is, all right, kids come up to me, which forward-facing Sonar baits do I need? Parents had this question a couple times the other evening. My son wants a forward-facing box. Does he need that? All right, I'm gonna give you a very, very important thing here. Any bait you throw in the water that you can see in front of your boat with that transducer is considered a forward-facing bait. I could take this alpha can right here, put rocks in it, drill me a spinner in it, put me a treble hook in it, a line tie, and throw it. And if I can see it out in front of my boat, in the water, throwing it at a fish, it's a forward-facing can of alpha, period. So if you want to throw a glide bait, if you want to throw a topwater, if you want to throw a jerk bait, if you want to throw a cricket on a bobber at a huge brim bed, and you can see your cricket and you can watch them eat them, that's forward-facing bait. Now there are some out now that specialize just in that, and I can see that technique, and that's good, and some of them are great. But if you think as an up-and-coming angler that you have to have a box that's just dedicated straight to forward-facing sonar, you are missing the boat. I mean, a Carolina rig, a Ned rig, seriously, anything you want to throw, a 6-inch glide bait, 8-inch swim bait, that's all forward-facing equipment, period, across the board. So I think that's a problem with today, where you're getting the wrong message across the board from advertising, looking at this, looking at that. Dude, just keep it simple. If you have forward-facing on your boat, throw what you like to throw. Fish how you want to fish. Look for the structure. The one thing I can tell you is too many people are getting caught up just trying to go catch them. It's not always going to be there. It's not always going to be the same. Eventually, that technique is going to fade, kind of like you used to could take an Alabama rig anywhere across the country and they would murder it, and now there's places they run from it. You still have to go back to learn the basics. Bass fishing 101. And you can use that technology while you do that. You can find brush piles, you can find rocks, you can find reeds, you can look under docks, you can do all that. But is forward facing the devil? No, it's not. But to us old hammers, it's different. And it truly is different. And I can tell you from personal 100%, it hurts your feelings when you go out and try to do a traditional way and you get your butt kicked off a guy looking at a sonar when you know he's not a better angler than you, but he used his equipment better than you did in that event. And that's what it comes down to. People don't like to hear that. It is what it is. Time changes, everything across the board changes. Nothing stays the same. Baseball, major leagues, a fastball, 88 miles an hour used to be top notch. Now you got kids starting throwing 102, and you got them coming off the bench, coming in at 98, 99, 100 miles an hour. Spin rates off the chart, make their ball move 2.5 feet. It's just evolution. It's evolution of the game. But I can tell you this, if there's anything that I know from fishing, hunting, baseball, all sports, this too will pass. It'll be another argument about something else coming up very, very soon. It always is. And if you've ever been around a bunch of fishermen, if you get in a room with 10 of them, 5 of them are always gonna be pissed off at something, no matter if it's forward-facing sonar, if it's my green pumpkin is not the green pumpkin it used to be, or I think there's one less rattle in this trap than there used to be. It's always gonna be something because most fishermen are perfectionists, and that's just the way it is. So look, forward-facing sonar, it's just technology. It's the way the fishing industry is right now. If you want to do it, great. Go be the best that you possibly can. If you don't want to do it and you get beat, that's all on you. We all make our own decisions. I'm in that group too. I can still not do it, get beat, and I'll be pissed off and complain as much as possible. But at the end of the day, especially at the level that I'm at, we all have the same opportunity to use the same equipment. I do just think there needs to be some kind of limits set on exactly how much of that technology we have on the boat. So that's my thoughts on forward-facing sonar, and we'll see you next time on The Level.